A day after the release of the long-awaited Strategic Defence Review, John Healey boarded a Chinook to meet for himself the men and women who will have to put many of its recommendations into action. After a short flight, he touched down at Warminster Garrison, home to the British Army's Experimentation and Trials Group. The SDR says the Army needs to modernise, restructure and be ready for war.
We're with the Army today. SDR mentions 10 times increase in lethality. What does that actually mean in practice?
We're at the Army Warfare Centre here in Warminster. These are the lads and lasses that are going to help develop and deliver that 10 times lethality. What it really means is being able to see the enemy further, decide how to hit them faster and strike them harder. And it's the combination of the hard metal and the traditional platforms of tanks, artillery, that combined with the innovation of AI and drones that we've seen today, that will allow our British forces in future to do that. And in the Strategic Defence Review we published yesterday, made clear that that's a lesson we can take from Ukraine. And for those nations that can make that combination for their forces, they will give their troops, their forces, the battlefield edge in future.
While there were no cuts announced in the SDR, the British Army isn't going to dramatically increase in size. That spike in lethality will come in large part from these new bits of tech. John Healey was able to try his hand at piloting an FPV drone and driving one of the Army's remote-controlled UGVs, uncrewed ground vehicles. Tech that's going to become increasingly important as the UK pivots to what the Defence Review calls a state of warfighting readiness.
The Ukrainians have got 15,000 UGVs on order. That mass is what's required. And how are you going to bring that to bear with our armed forces?
We could do none of this without the big increase in defence spending that we as a government have now committed. We've made that difficult decision to switch money directly out of overseas development aid so we can fund the promise we made at the election to meet 2.5% of spending on defence, not in 2030, but 3 years earlier than that in 2027.
Today, the government also announced a tenfold increase in drone production in the UK, with Ukraine set to receive 100,000 drones this financial year. The lessons from that conflict feeding through as the British military transitions to an era of high-tech autonomous warfare. Simon Newton, BFBS Forces News at Warminster Garrison. Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.